What comes to mind when you hear the name Marlon Brando? Most likely is the term method acting, which he popularized as he burst onto the scene in the early 50s. But outside of his influence of being an originator, what makes him considered to be the best by so many? Films have changed since the 1950s, but for some reason, Brando's name is at the top of people's lists. After watching multiple films of his and reading different accounts of his life and influences, several key factors stand out to me among the rest. Brando's naturalistic approach was unheard of when he first started acting. Instead of acting in terms of general gestures or common practices, he instead embodied his characters. He learned what it was like to be in a wheelchair and to not be able to walk by doing this practice when he lived with disabled war veterans. While playing a Mexican and German, he attempted to speak with an accent to persuade the audience that his character was real. Brando even slouched and mumbled to convey an everyday guy that you may notice as you walk down the street. In the past, actors would change role to role. Humphrey Bogart was Humphrey Bogart in every role. Charlie Chaplin was Charlie Chaplin in every role. Brando was demonstrating range in his ability to be anyone and anything needed to make his presence believable. Marlon Brando also had a knack for unpredictable actions, helping him stand out among the sea of actors. The audience never knows what he'll do next, he surprises them. Whereas most people tend to do certain actions to take place depending on the scenario, he diverts them. Take this scene in A Streetcar Named Desire.
Mr. Kowalski is too busy making a pig of himself to think of anything else. Your face and your fingers are disgustingly greasy. Go wash up and then help me clear the table.
Now, that's how I'm going to clear the table. Don't you ever talk that way to me. Pig, Pollock, disgusting, vulgar, greasy. Those kind of words have been on your tongue, and your sister's tongue is too much around here. What do you think you are, a pair of queens? Just remember what Huey Long said, that every man's a king, and I'm the king around here. And don't you forget it. My place is all cleared up now. You want me to clear yours?
There was a moment of silence and then a burst of energy out the blue. Brando even fumbles the object when he attempts to pick it up, which is probably by accident, but it helps with his naturalistic approach too. He did a similar thing in The Godfather, but another famous moment of this is in On the Waterfront. His character is at the park with a girl and the glove is dropped. The thing is, that part wasn't scripted, but the scene continued. So instead of picking up the glove and handing it back to the actress, Eva Marie Saint, Brando plays with it, puts his hand in the glove, an obvious sexual reference of the tension between the characters during the film, but also a resemblance of Terry, Brando's character, getting to know Eddie, Saint's character, as well. On any other movie, the director would have yelled cut when the glove dropped and had everyone start over, but Eli Kazan, who directed On the Waterfront, understood how Brando worked best. Improvisation. Making something out of nothing.
Brando walking along the street and she suddenly drops the glove. Well, normally it's an accident. She dropped the glove. I didn't tell her to. Normally in a film, in another film, say, the director would say, cut. There's been an accident that was wrong, which I did not intend, but I didn't say a damn thing. Brando picked the glove up and made one of the most eloquent moments in the film. He held the glove, she reached for it, he pulled it back, and then he put his hand in the glove, which has an obvious sexual significance, and she was embarrassed, she was shy about the whole thing, and because of what Brando and she did with that glove, which was an accident, which they responded to alertly and creatively, because of that, it became a marvelous scene.
Brando felt that an actor had to make something out of nothing when the scene wasn't working, to challenge the director. Brando said, if you don't have a well-written story, the performer has to invent the character to make him believable. He believed that a good script can make it easy for an actor, such as how Shakespeare wrote his stuff too, with precision. Marlon Brando was amazing at being very vulnerable as well too. And not just vulnerable in terms of those cliche moments of people dying or moments of fear, but in a lot of Brando films, the ones known at least, there's always a female lead that's opposite of his characters. The women tend to see Brando's character as an object or desire in most cases, but he allows them to be dominant in the situation. Sure, Stanley is a bad guy in a streetcar, But when he yells for Stella,
Hey, Stella!
it's like he's saying, I need you. I'm not me without you. Or in The Wild One, where Kathy sees through Johnny's tough guy persona. Johnny instantly tries to gain control by being macho, but even he knows she's right. He even smiles at the end of the film, the only time we see him do this action. In other words, the masculine traits of his characters are turned into feminine ones with no judgment towards their actions. Most of all, he understood how to make the audience participate in a film. People go to the theater to see how people resolve their conflicts. We see if characters grow from it or they let the issue overcome them. It's art mirroring life, and sure some cases are extreme, but they're relatable. Let's try another famous scene from On the Waterfront. The back of the cab scene where Terry and Charlie are talking. Charlie pulls a gun on him, and Brando is surprised. But instead of yelling in anger or being in fear of the weapon, Terry is disappointed. Imagine your sibling doing this act to you. Sure, you'd be afraid, but you'd be more hurt more than anything. He even gives this famous line.
Down for you. You saw some money.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. Instead of a bum, which is what I am. Let's face it.
An audience understands because they've had experiences that changed their lives. They too could have been what they wanted to be had they not been a part of some ordeal that went sour. Admitting it is the hard part. How about another powerful moment in Last Tango in Paris? Brando's character is talking to his dead wife. We see a range of emotions from fear to sadness in an instant. We understand the conflict between the character being frustrated with how life was with his wife, but also the loss of them not being there anymore. Brando isn't one note predictable, but real. Brando said,
never let the audience know how it's going to come out.
What is your name?
Get them on your time.
Emiliano Zapata.
And when that time comes and everything is right, you just fuck let fly.
Oh, judgment thou art led to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason.
Hit them, knock them over. With an attitude, with a word, with a look.
I don't like cops.
Be surprising. Figure out a way to do it that has never been done before.
You got to put.
my point is that without Marlon Brando, there is no acting as we know it today. We wouldn't have De Niro, Pacino, Hoffman, Nicholson, Washington, Day-Lewis, Depp, DiCaprio, and many more. The interesting and amazing stories of actors researching their characters by losing weight for a role and performing actions that their characters would do wouldn't be a thing. Comparing actors and saying things like, that's bad acting, are afterthoughts too. We wouldn't be astonished at people doing perfect accents or embodying a role. And all of this for realism in a 2-hour video where we sit and look at a screen in the dark. Actors today tend to be more one-note during a film, with no range of emotions. No sense of allowing the audience to be on the ride instead of watching from a distance. They're believable because they look a certain way to fit that character, but outside of that, there's nothing else that allows for attachment to the character. Marlon Brando got that acting comes down to what decisions you choose to provoke an emotion, when you have the audience in their grip. In his book, Songs My Mother Taught Me, Brando said, but he should never forget that it is the audience that really does the work and is a pivotal part of the process. Every theatrical event can produce an emotional participation from an audience who become the actors of the drama. And to think Brando stumbled upon acting because it was the only thing that he was told that he was good at. Not bad for a guy that just saw acting as a way to pay the bills. Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've done a review or analysis or anything like that. I think it's been about 3 months. Lately I've been really wanting to do this for a long time, so I decided to put this out, and I will get back on my analysis. I think my schedule for now, I'm going to try my hardest to do something every 2 weeks. No promises there, but I'm going to try. I know I was supposed to do a Ghost in the Shell thing, but I saw the remake and I wanted to do a comparison video between that one and the original, so I'm waiting for the remake to hit Blu-ray so I can use that, footage from my movie, or my analysis I should say. But yeah, I'm going to be back, a lot more things coming your way, box office reviews, some indie movie reviews here and there, some more analysis of movies and certain topics like this, top 10 lists coming back. So stay with it. If you're new, you want to hit the like button for this video, you want to hit the subscribe button for this channel, and you want to join the quest.